Title's a little misleading. Spacecraft bound for Pluto prepares for its close encounter. It's preparing to wake up from its slumber. Close encounter doesn't come until July of next year. Spacecraft system are programmed to start up again December 6th at 12 p.m. An hour and a half later, it will send a signal back to Earth confirming it's awake. But because it's so far away, it will take more than 4 hours for the message to reach mission control, around 6:30 p.m. on December 6th. Mission controllers will then take 6 weeks to check all the spacecraft systems and prepare its approach towards Pluto, which will start in earnest on January 15th, 2015. At the time of launch, Pluto was known to have 3 moons: Charon, discovered in 1978, and Nix and Hydra, spotted in 2005. Then in 2011 and 12, scientists found 2 more, Kerberos and Styx, respectively, giving New Horizons even more places to explore. One of the mission's goals is to see whether Pluto has any more companions and if it has a ring system. Astronomers using the Hubble Space Telescope haven't seen anything yet, but that doesn't mean there aren't moons and rings too small and faint to detect. And this, comically, is, from Hubble, the best pictures we've had yet of Pluto. Blurred, stupid, garbage images. Thank you, NASA. The more moons and a ring system would certainly be exciting, but they could also be bad news, says Simon Porter, a planetary scientist at the Southwest Research Institute in Tucson, Arizona, who's on the New Horizons science team. If there are smaller yet to be detected moons, then they likely have been struck by all sorts of other tinier objects like baseball-sized space rocks. Those collisions would have kicked up dust that could escape the gravity of its moons, but not the Pluto system. That means there could be a lot of dust floating around, posing a hazard to New Horizons. The team is especially worried because the spacecraft itself will be chock full of exciting data. Listen to this. As it flies by Pluto, it will save all of its images and measurements on board before sending them back to Earth. There will be so much data that it will take until late 2016 to finish transferring. If something happens to the spacecraft, all that information could be lost. Why? Why? Almost every spacecraft out there that I know of sends back the data as it's received. It records it and then sends it back. Why is this completely different? It's going to save everything and then send it all back after it's done? That makes no sense. Well, it makes sense if you want to hide it from the public, but otherwise it makes no sense. Today, New Horizons is still 175 million miles from Pluto, but by mid-April it will be close enough that its images will surpass those taken by Hubble. That's not going to be hard. Then it gets better and better and better. This jerk said I'm just mad at that whole saving it thing. It's like sending the Philae to Rosetta and giving it 2 days worth of battery. You take years and years to get it there and millions of dollars, and then you give it 48 hours worth of life. How do they expect us to fall for this crap, that this is really what they're doing? They're obviously just hiding it from us. By June and July, New Horizons will be close enough to study Pluto's geology. We'll have lots of juicy science, historic science, well before the day of the closest approach. That day of closest approach is July 14th, 2015, when the spacecraft will be only about 6,200 miles from Pluto, zipping by it at about 31,300 miles per hour. Its high-resolution cameras will be able to pick up surface details 230 feet wide, which, at the same distance from Earth, will be equivalent to identifying the ponds of New York City's Central Park, according to planetary scientist Alan Stern, who's leading the mission. So that's pretty good. Just keep that in mind if and when we ever see any images about details. The rendezvous with Pluto will last 6 months. A New Horizon will map the geology, temperature, and composition of Pluto and its moons, and analyze the Plutonian atmosphere. As it leaves the Pluto system, it will glance back at Pluto passing in front of the Sun to see whether there's a haze above the atmosphere, a feature which will also seen on Neptune's moon Triton, which is similar to Pluto in size, atmosphere, and surface composition. New Horizons may also discover a comet tail of particles streaming off Pluto. Don't say comet-like tail, it will be a comet tail. And even when New Horizons leaves the Pluto system, it's not quite done. In October, astronomers used Hubble to identify 3 smaller Kuiper Belt objects that New Horizons could visit in around 2019, but whether the spacecraft will make the extra visit depends on its post-Pluto condition and NASA funding. So just another space story, something to keep an eye on. It'll wake up in about a week, and we'll see if it has even survived this far, but saving all of the data on board is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of when it comes to this kind of stuff. Why would you change the existing system that, in quotes, works so well?